we're from the Wing Chun Kung Fu Academy. We've been putting up some videos lately on YouTube. Some of them have found their way via Nick to some social media sites. And there seems to be a fair bit of, what do you call it, confusion about what we're doing and why we're doing it. A lot of people have said that at best the Wing Chun we're doing is very different to what they're used to, and a lot of people have claimed that we're not even doing Wing Chun, which in some ways kind of made us kind of happy when we heard that. But a lot of the stuff we do, a lot of our techniques and so on, seem to elicit a bit of confusion about whether or not that actually work, or why we do stuff and so on. So rather than just make videos that, and some of our videos have been considered quite boring too apparently, but we're going to make some videos like this to kind of just cover a bit of the Wing Chun we do, so people have an idea of what we do and what we have to offer, and just to show that the stuff we're doing does indeed work. It'll hold its own, no problem. So I guess where would be the best place to start? Yeah, probably one of the best places to get things started would be one of our techniques, which a lot of people have kind of questioned, and I suspect the reason people question is because I get the impression that the way we think of Wing Chun is something fairly different to what a lot of people think it as. So I get the impression from a lot of what I've read, and now I've learned Wing Chun from one person. I learned two different styles of Wing Chun from this same person. I've never learned Wing Chun from anybody else. So all my knowledge about other styles of Wing Chun, other than what we do, comes from just hearing what people say and watching what they're doing and so on. So the impression I get whenever I read about different types of Wing Chun is, and what practitioners of those different styles are saying, is that by our standards at least, they seem to have a very passive understanding of how to do the system. So what I'm thinking of when I'm saying this is a lot of this talk about people saying you need really good structure to absorb force and redirect it through your stance into the ground. Now that's a concept we have in our Wing Chun, but where was I? So the impression I get is they like to take force and absorb it and direct it into the ground, and that's how they deal with oncoming attacks and so on. We, on the other hand, have a very different understanding of it. So structure to us needs to be very good. Like I said, we do have concepts of being able to, I said the magic word, concepts. We do have this idea that you can take and absorb force, but it's not something which we deploy as a standard, as a base for all of our Wing Chun. For our purposes at least. I don't know what other people think, but for our purposes that's far too passive, and is likely to put you a step behind an attack. For us, structure is an offensive thing. Our structure is a platform from which to launch attacks. And so with our technique, it's actually kind of funny that most people who have seen it don't seem to be able to grasp it. At least the people who have commented on it. It's kind of amusing to us because that's our very first beginner technique that you'll learn as a new person who's coming. And that's what we call Dicer. So if I can get you to demonstrate. So forgive me if I'm wrong here, but from what I get the impression from most Wing Chun, a punch is going to come and they're going to something to this effect. They'll use a tan sao like that. We'd never use a tan sao like that. But it seems they're catching that and directing this into the ground. For us, that's, as I said, far too passive. For something like that, we're going to use dai sao. No matter how hard he hits, he can hit as hard as he likes. And now he's very strong. He's done a hell of a lot of foundation training, and doesn't work out at the gym. All of it's Wing Chun. He can hit very, very hard. I haven't done much training in the last 5 years due to a back injury, yet I can still quite easily hold that out no matter how hard he hits it. And even it's going to start hurting his hand. When you first start, it's not so much bad on his because he's always training, but when you first start, it hurts like hell. But this dai sao technique we have, which is just coming straight up, not pushing out, it's not holding it and grabbing the force. Now that would collapse. If I held it there and tried to catch his force to redirect it to the ground, that'll fail. And that's a fundamental, or it seems to me, that's a fundamental difference between what we're doing as Wing Chun and what a lot of people do. When I do the dai sao, it's not passive. It's not me holding it there and him catching his force and trying to push him, redirect it to the floor. If I did that, one or two things happen. Either if I'm strong enough, which I might be against someone, I'm a bit bigger than Nick, might be strong enough to hold it even if he pushes, but still I've got to use a lot of strength. I stiffen up and get tense. So immediately someone who knows what they're doing with Wing Chun, they're just going to let my force be there stuck, rigid, and go around it. He's not going to wait around for me to loosen everything up to try and catch it. What that is for us is an attack. It's offensive. And that's a kind of principle that flows through all of our Wing Chun. It's not passive. We're generally not just catching and redirecting stuff into the ground. So going back to tan sao, when a lot of people will deal with that with the tan sao, jumping in and grabbing it, that's not how we do a tan sao. Our tan sao is like so, and he can punch as hard as he likes against the tan sao. It's not going to buckle because I'm not trying to catch the force and redirect it. If I did that, it's going to fail. Likewise, gang sao. Gang sao structurally probably could hold if I was doing it that way, and my stance, because it's down, could probably hold, but again, it's not how we do Wing Chun. Gang sao is a strike. All of our techniques are offensive. His arm comes, his arm is a target, as well as his body for a punch. So, when I'm guessing we're getting a lot of, oh, this dai sao thing will collapse, I think people are thinking of it in terms of what they understand as Wing Chun. And that is catching, redirecting force to the floor. For us, that's the opposite of what we really want to do.